You know that moment when your phone starts ringing and your entire mood changes before you even look at the screen? You're having a completely normal day. Scrolling, working, watching something, eating, and then your phone lights up. Someone's calling. And within half a second, your brain starts producing worst-case scenarios at Olympic speed. Why are they calling? Is something wrong? Couldn't they text this? What am I supposed to say? And if it says unknown number, that feels borderline criminal. You stare at the screen like it's a bomb you've been asked to defuse. Maybe you let it ring. Maybe you panic and silence it. Maybe you promise yourself you'll call back later, knowing very well that later means never. And the weirdest part, the second it stops ringing, you feel relief. Actual relief. Like you narrowly escaped something dangerous, even though logically, it was just a phone call. And that's what makes this so strange. Because for some people, answering a call is effortless. They pick up immediately. They talk casually, no stress, no overthinking, no emotional damage. So what exactly separates them from people who genuinely feel their heart rate rise when their phone rings? And why does something this normal feel weirdly threatening? This gets blamed on introversion all the time. And honestly, that explanation is lazy. Because plenty of introverts don't care. And plenty of outgoing people secretly hate calls. So what's actually happening here? To understand that, we need to talk about something psychologists call anticipatory anxiety, which is anxiety that happens before the event itself. Not during, before. Psychologist Albert Ellis spent years studying how people mentally catastrophize events before they happen. And phone calls are almost perfectly designed for this, because they arrive without context. You don't know
why they're calling, what they want, how long this will last, whether it's awkward, whether it's bad news, whether they're upset, whether you're about to be trapped in a conversation you don't want. Your brain hates unanswered questions, and a ringing phone is basically an unanswered question with sound effects. That uncertainty triggers what researchers call intolerance of uncertainty. People with high tolerance can think, I'll find out when I answer. People with low tolerance think, what if this conversation ruins my day? And suddenly, ignoring the call feels safer. But this is where it gets deeper. Because for a lot of people, the problem isn't uncertainty. It's exposure. Texting gives you control. You can think, rewrite, delete, pause, respond later, curate your personality. Phone calls remove all of that. And suddenly, it's just you. Your real voice. Your real pauses. Your real awkwardness. Your real intelligence. Unedited. Live. For people with social anxiety, that feels incredibly vulnerable. Psychologists call this social evaluative threat, the fear that someone is silently judging you in real time. Your voice, your tone, your intelligence, your response speed, your awkward pauses. And if that sounds irrational, go back further, way further. Think about being a kid. Your parent hands you the house phone. Answer it. You freeze. It's your aunt. You panic because you don't know what to say. You hear adults listening nearby, waiting, judging, correcting. Speak louder. That was rude. Why are you so awkward? Or maybe you're at school. The teacher suddenly calls on you. You weren't prepared. Your classmates laugh when you stumble through an answer. Maybe you gave a presentation and your voice cracked. People noticed. You noticed they noticed. And your nervous system quietly wrote down a rule. Speaking live is dangerous. And here's what makes this difficult. Most people completely forget these moments. Your brain doesn't. Your nervous system remembers humiliation extremely well, especially repeated humiliation. But I need to be honest about something, and this might be uncomfortable. Some people don't hate phone calls because they're introverted.
They hate phone calls because live conversation removes their ability to hide. You can't edit. You can't overthink for 20 minutes. You can't Google what to say. You can't disappear when things feel awkward. And for some people, that feels terrifying because their entire personality has become carefully edited self-protection. Texting lets them present the polished version. Phone calls expose the unfinished version, and that feels unbearable. But there's an even darker version of this. For some people, phone calls historically meant bad news.
A hospital call, a toxic ex, debt collectors, family emergencies, a screaming parent, a boss calling after work. Their nervous system learned ringtone equals danger. And now their body reacts before logic has time to step in. That's conditioning. And conditioning can stay with people for years. But then there's another type. And this group gets misunderstood constantly. These people aren't anxious. They're just deeply protective of their time. And honestly, they may be right. They hate unnecessary calls, because most calls should have been texts. A 2-minute question becomes 40 minutes. People ramble, ignore boundaries, call without warning. These people don't panic. They get annoyed. Very different psychology. And here's how you know which one you are. If your first emotion is irritation, you probably value efficiency. If your first emotion is panic, that's avoidance. And avoidance feels amazing in the short term. You avoid the call, instant relief. Your nervous system celebrates. Great job, we survived. But psychologists have studied avoidance loops for decades. Every avoided call teaches your brain that the call was dangerous, even when it wasn't. And over time, your world gets smaller. You avoid appointments, important conversations, job opportunities, difficult relationships, customer service calls, medical appointments. Life starts shrinking around your comfort zone. And that's the real cost. It was never about phone calls. It was about how many life experiences fear quietly steals from you. And if this feels painfully familiar, this can change. Not through forcing yourself to become some hyper-social person. Just small wins. Answer one call. Make one appointment. Call one friend. Stay in the discomfort long enough for your brain to learn, this didn't kill me. Because confidence isn't people who never feel awkward. Confidence is people who survive awkwardness without making it their identity. And maybe that's the real difference. Some people hear a ringtone and hear danger. Others hear a ringtone and hear information. That gap can be rewired. And if you've been stuck in patterns of overthinking, avoidance, and shrinking your life around temporary comfort, check the pinned comment. I put something together for people trying to break those loops and build real consistency. Because awareness feels good, but action is what actually changes your life.